What's up, people? I'm Shaggy the Opinionated Hippie, today with yet another Neil live album, Noise and Flowers. On my studio timeline, I just did Colorado, which was released in 2019. This tour took place in 2019, but the album itself wasn't released until 2022. There's also a DVD version of it. I'm going to do it now because it is the same year and around the same time that Colorado was released. The reason for this tour, or at least the tour might have already been set up, but it took a different shape in 2019 because Elliot Roberts, a close friend of Neil's, a manager, he passed away. And so this was sort of Neil's tribute to Elliot. A whole bunch of old songs from all of his albums spanning his entire catalog. It wasn't focused on Colorado with the other songs thrown in. It was like, let's dive into the catalog and play all these songs as a tribute to my long lost friend. The title, Noise and Flowers. 48 songs he played over the course of the 9 shows. So if you break it down, it's about 3 complete shows without repeating a song before he would repeat another song. That's not actually what happened, but that's how many new songs he played or different songs he played over the course of these 9 shows. This album is culled from several of those shows. The setlist integrity in this is not good. I think live albums work better when the songs, if they're culled from like a variety of shows, if you still maintain the relative order of them, there's the setlist integrity is out the door. He put this together for a listening experience. Like Rocking in the Free World is right in the middle of the disc. That was always, I think, a set closer, if not almost always a set closer, I think. Other songs that appear like early or late, and he mixes it up. It's still a really good listen. The track list is fantastic. It is with promise of the real. If I do have a complaint, and I do have a complaint, is I think this is one of those releases that isn't up to the absolute fantastic sound quality that most of Neil's live releases are. It kind of reminds me a little of Road Rock, I think was volume 1. There hasn't been a volume 2. Was the other one that sort of kind of sounded similar to this. And that it sounds like if you've ever traded tapes or like Dead tapes or Fish tapes or Zappa tapes or Jam Band tapes, there are these certain really high quality audience tapes that sound really good, but they have a flatness to them. And it's almost like being there live where like you can hear everybody well, but they're pretty much all on like the same like aural plane. And the lead singer is usually maybe volume is jumped up to like be above that. Or if there's a guitar solo, that guitar solo is turned up. Or if this song is particularly features piano, the piano volume seems to be turned up, but then the rest of the songs it's turned down. That seems to be the listening experience of this. And I do think it slightly hinders it a little bit. I think there is a heaviness to this. It's not quite Crazy Horse, Tyrannosaurus Rex, just mow a forest down heaviness. It's not that more nimble, fleet-footed Pearl Jam heaviness. It's kind of somewhere in between, but I think a little bit of it is lost because of the sound. I kind of wish the sound was a little bit better. Also, there are a couple songs that kind of plod a little bit. They just seem a little heavy-footed and a little lumbersome. One of them is Throw Your Hatred Down, and that's, you know, Pearl Jam did the original with Neil. I think this one just feels a little bit heavier and doesn't have that. Throw Your Hatred Down just seems there's so much like little bounce to it. And here in this live version, it's great to hear. Love the song, super guitar indulgent. But I do think some of the songs aren't maybe highlighting the strengths of Promise of the Real as they would highlight the strengths of other bands. But you really can't complain about the track list. It really is all over the map as far as Neil songs go. Opens up with Mr. Soul, nice driving, great energy. We get a nice indulgent noise ending. This was originally the 4th song on the night that it was performed. Here it opens up the CD. Next song, another great choice. Everybody knows This Is Nowhere. Great selection, pretty straightforward version of this song. The second song of the same night that Mr. Soul was played. So we had an opener, then we had Everybody Knows, another song, and then Mr. Soul. So he's taken 2 songs from the same night and already rearranged the order. Then we get a Helpless, which did follow Mr. Soul on at the same show. acoustic guitar, some backing piano. This one feels kind of stiff. This one feels kind of doesn't quite have the touch I think that other live Helpless versions have. We get a Field of Opportunity next. Nice bouncy acoustic. This works. Nice to hear This Old Comes a Time song. This followed Helpless in the actual same show, but there was a Helpless, Old Man, then Field of Opportunity. We don't get the Old Man on here. Then we get in Alabama, another really great selection. Good to hear. I can't say this is a mind-blowing version of this, but it is a really good selection. Glad to hear this. And this actually was after Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere, but just at a different show, not at the same show. We're at a different show now. We get a Throw Your Hatred Down, another just absolutely awesome selection, a pretty popular live song for Neil to play. Neil's got some great guitar solo energy, super rough, super aggressive. The middle of it, this was in the middle of the set, which is about where it is here. And then towards the end, when there's about 3.5 minutes left, so we play the song in total, and then we get some noise, some like flailing around. Neil does the vocals like he would do in like a Hurricane, where like the band's just doing minimal, but he's like singing the lyrics as if he's like floating in space, like his spaceship has exploded and pieces are floating around, and he's out here yelling the vocals. And then we jump right back into a full like version of the song, like a Throw Your Hatred Down reprise. We would do this quite a bit in the next song, Rockin' in the Free World, in which he does this over and over and over again. I think that's the one where he does this over and over and over again. So we get like the first 5 minutes of the song, we drop in a noise, then we go into a really wild reprise, and then we drop into some noise. I think one of the Nelson brothers gets a pretty good guitar solo. We come back into a reprise, super indulgent, super lots of noisy guitar, kind of playful. A really good way to end a main set. I'm not sure it works so well in the middle of a CD. It does feel like this is like an ending point because of all the reprises and the super indulgence. It does almost feel like it should go later, but here it's in the middle of the set. We get It Comes a Time, awesome acoustic sound, just awesome energy. Yeah, one of my favorite songs. I could hear this at every show. From Hank to Hendrix, pretty good. The second half of the song, The Promise of the Real, are putting a lot of really cool eyebrows on it, making it a little more interesting than the studio version, kind of bringing a little of their personality into it, kind of helps give this song a little more life. On the Beach, absolutely amazing. This was the only time they performed this. It's a great song to hear, but I don't think that this version can compare to like the Crosby, Stills, and Nash versions that were played in the 74 tour. The solos are super tasty. I mean, it's just a perfect song. So you really can't go wrong with that. And I actually think he has not played this song very much live, or at least that we have like set lists for. I actually think on that like Crosby, Stills, and Nash tour that he did, they played this song more times live than Neil did in the entirety of his like entire career, if I'm not mistaken. Unless there was a band he did it with that I missed their set list for. But this is a pretty rare occurrence. And to bring this back on this Elliot Roberts tour, I think is shows how much Elliot Roberts probably meant to Neil. But awesome to hear, but maybe not the best version out there. Are You Ready for the Country is next. This one seems a little thin and also a little heavy-footed. Like you think this would be the song that Promise of the Real might be able to like nail a little more, but this one, I don't know. It's not clicking on all cylinders, it seems like for me. Then we get I've Been Waiting for You, which was one of the encores. Sounds absolutely amazing, just fantastic. I think this was a song that didn't come back into his set list until he started touring with Promise for a Real, and then it kind of became a regular song. Absolutely amazing from his like debut album. Fantastic, nice big sound. Love this song. We get a Winter Long, always great to get a Winter Long, and then we close out with a Fucking Up, which sounds really good. They're locked in on this. They can bring this heaviness. I think it was the encore or the final song on most of these. It is the final song on here. Or no, I think this was like several songs before the encore. Like it was like a mid-set and then they played a bunch of songs and then we got to the encore. Who cares? Anyways, it was generally towards the end of the show. But this is a really nice Neil, just guitar orgy type vibe. Yeah, Setlist is absolutely fantastic. I mean, everybody knows it's pretty rare. It's always nice to hear in Alabama. That's pretty rare. Field of Opportunity coming back is great. On the Beach, obviously, just a completely rare selection. It's nice to have an Are You Ready for the Country back, even though it's maybe not the best sounding version of that. And then I've Been Waiting for You and Wait Along. Absolutely fantastic. Um, I wish the sound was better. It's just, it has that sort of everybody's here, and then every once in a while something kind of just stands out. I do think when we get to like the more indulgent end of the song guitar stuff, that stuff sounds pretty good because it's so disjointed and fragmented. You can still hear all the pieces, but when the band is fully locked in, the sound is just, you want a little more bass to kind of stand out, a little more something to be present, just to make it I don't know, a little more enjoyable. And then a couple songs do plod, I think, a little too heavy. But yeah, a really fun listen, a fantastic listen. Neat to hear Neil, 50 years on now. This is 2019. So we're talking, at least right around 50 plus years that he's been playing live. So it's neat to see that he's still rocking in the free world pretty hard at this age, and Promise of the Real is serving him well. But it's a good listen. I'm not going to rank it now. I'm going to eventually drop a live video in which a video in which I rank every single live one briefly and just kind of go through them. But I would say this is not going to be a top of the pack just because of the sound quality. I do think when you compare it to other Neil releases in which the sound is pretty good, like Crazy Horse releases, even from the 70s, in which it's a really loud band, but still he's been able to capture them in better sound than I think this. But there are some fantastic moments, and it is a solid listen. But yeah, that's it. Those are my thoughts on this album. Noise and Flowers came out in 2022. There is a DVD, but it's a good listen, and it's got an On the Beach, one of the greatest songs ever. All right, I'm rambling. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. Peace. Talk to you later.